beginning of Parshas Voero, Rashi brings Voero on the bottom. וידבר אלוהים אל מוישה ויאמר אליו אני השם. Elohim, which is Midas Adi, it means HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke harshly, severely to Moshe Rabbeinu, ויאמר אליו, and he said to him, אני השם. I am Hashem. Hashem is Midas Orachim, Yud-Kevovkim. So Rashi says, דיבר איתו משפט, אז שהיקשו לדבר ולא ימה, לא מו, הריוסו ואומזי. He spoke to him harshly. Why did he accuse HaKadosh Baruch Hu, לא מו הריוסו לא אומזי? So, and then he goes on to say, Voero elo Ovos, I appeared to the Ovos. Voero el Avraham, el Yitzchok ve'el Yaakov bekel shakoi, ushmi Hashem lo nodati lohem. That means I appeared to Avraham, to Yitzchok, and to Yaakov bekel shakoi, under the name of Kel Shakoi, ushmi Hashem lo nodati lohem. But I did not let myself be known under the name of Hashem. So what does it mean that I appeared to Avraham, to Yitzchok, and to Yaakov under the name of Kel Shakoi, but I did not let myself be known under the name of Hashem? So Rashi explains the difference between Kel Shakoi and Hashem Yud-Kei Vov-Kei is that Hashem Yud-Kei Vov-Kei, Kel Shakoi, is means I am sufficiently powerful. Shakoi, there is the word dai in Shakoi. She dai. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is sufficiently powerful to fulfill his promise. In other words, he appeared to Avraham and to Yitzchak and to Yaakov with promises, with avtochas, that I am promising you Eretz Yisrael. To Avraham, he promised him Eretz Yisrael. To Yitzchak, he promised him Eretz Yisrael. And to Yaakov. But Ushmi Hashem, but my name Hashem Yud-Kei Vov-Kei, which means by which HaKadosh Baruch Hu shows himself to fulfill his promise, to realize his promise, which is Shem Rachamim, the name of clemency, of Rachamim, of pity. Lo nodati lohem, I did not let myself be known to them. So it's an accusation against Moshe Rabbeinu. How does he dare to accuse HaKadosh Baruch Hu? And is not the same madrege, doesn't behave the same as the Ovos HaKadoshim. Because when I appeared to the Ovos HaKadoshim, I promised them the land, but I did not fulfill my promise in their time. The time had not arrived yet. And nevertheless, they never asked any questions. They never accused me of not being faithful to my promises. For example, Avraham Avinu, when he wanted to bury Sorah, he had to pay 400 shekel kesef, and he did not complain to the Rabbeinu Shalom, look, I've got to pay 400 shekel kesef, you gave me Eretz Yisrael is my land, and yet I have to buy a plot to bury my wife. He did not accuse HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same with Yitzchak. Yitzchak also had to go to Eretz Pelishtim because of the famine, and he had a dispute with the shepherds of Gror, and he never complained to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, why the land is mine, what do they have with me to dispute? I want to dig a well, and they disputed against me. He never accused the Rebbeinu Shalom, never thought against the Rebbeinu Shalom. And Yaakov also, when he wanted to plant his, to make his tent next to Shechem, he had to pay Meor Kesito, 100 coins to the people of Shechem, and he never asked any questions to the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's how Rashi explains here. But one thing we have to understand in the Peirush Rashi says, Voero elo Ovos, to the Ovos. I appeared to the Ovos. Rashi is adding on the pasuk, Voero, I appeared, Rashi says, elo Ovos, to the Ovos. So when we read that Rashi, we don't understand anything. Because it's written in the pasuk, I appeared to the Ovos. Voero, el Avrom, el Yitzchok, el Yankov, bekel Shakoi. So what does Rashi add on the pasuk? Elo Ovos. That's the question. That's the question we have to ask here. So this question is so harsh, so difficult to answer, that some want to say there has been a mistake in Rashi. The matfis, the printer who printed Rashi here, made a mistake. What is a mistake? Really, Rashi should have been read like this. Voero dibur hamasril. That means the title of Rashi should be Voero el Avrom el Yitzchok ve'el Yaakov bekel Shakoi. And then that is the end of the title. And then the Peirush Rashi will be, Iftachtim v'avtochos, I promised them promises, u'bekulan omarti lohem ani kel Shakoi. In all the promises I promised them, I said, I am kel Shakoi. In other words, you have to take away these two words in Rashi, elo Ovos. Voero, you should not have these two words, elo Ovos. You should just have one long dibur hamasril, one long title in Rashi, Voero el Avrom el Yitzchok ve'el Yankov bekel Shakoi. I think that would be wonderful. That is the right, clear answer to the question. But since I've heard from different sources that different commentaries do not say like that, amongst them there's the Reim, Rabbi Eliyahu Mizrahi, which is a classical on Rashi, commentary on Rashi. And on the other side, I heard from my Talmidim, from Moshe Feinstein also, doesn't think it is a mistake in the Rosh Moshe. The same Rav Moshe Sternbuch in Tuftam Bodas also takes on, as we have the impression here on our Rashi, Voero elo Ovos, Peirush Rashi, I appeared, Rashi adds, to the Ovos. And therefore the question is still very strong, what does Rashi add on the Pasuk? Since in the Pasuk it is already written, El Avrom, El Yitzchok, ve'el Yaakov. Now the Talmud in the Shir wanted to answer that Rashi wants to tell us that Avrom, Yitzchok, and Yaakov are the Ovos, the only Ovos. And afterwards I heard someone in Antwerpen, I sent this question to my son in Antwerpen, and he phoned me back. It shook him so much that he phoned me back the same night, and he said someone told him also the same answer. He said that's the easiest answer on Rashi, to say that Voero elo Ovos, that Rashi wants to say who are the Ovos. But then again, it's not satisfactory for a few reasons. First of all, don't we know that they are the Ovos already? It's written in Shmois Gimel. If we go backward, Shmois Gimel, Pasuk Vov, Vayomer HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe at the burning bush, Onoichi Elokei Avicho, Elokei Avrom, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yankov. But then there it says Elokei Avicho, your father. But then there's another pasuk. Vayomer od Elokim el Moshe kosomer el bnei Yisrael. Pasuk Tezvov, Perek Gimel. Kosomer el bnei Yisrael. Hashem Elokei Avoseichem, Elokei Avrom, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yankov, Shlochani Aleichem. Ze shmi le'olam v'ze zichri le'dorga. And here the pasuk says openly, explicitly, who are the Ovos? Kos v'yimar el bnei Yisrael. So you should say to the bnei Yisrael, Hashem Elokei Avoseichem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Elokei Avoseichem, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yankov. So here it says openly that the Ovos, who are the Ovos? Elokei Avoseichem, the God of your forefathers, Elokei Avrom, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yankov. First. Secondly, if Rashi wants to teach us that who are the Ovos, he should have said it on the Dibur HaMaschil, not on Voero. I appeared, and Rashi adds the commentary El Ovos. Rashi should have said Voero Dibur HaMaschil, Voero El Avrom, El Yitzchak, Ve'el Yankov. Stop. Ho-Ovos. Then Rashi should have said Ho-Ovos. Those are the Ovos. Rashi made his commentary El Ovos on the word Voero. I appeared. Rashi adds to the Ovos. So that's not understood. And another reason why it's not satisfactory, this answer, because what is the purpose of Rashi here to let us know who are the Ovos? I mean, what difference does it make if they are the Ovos or not? HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to say that Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't behave the same as Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So if it's to rebuke Moshe Rabbeinu that he doesn't behave like Avraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov because they never accused the Rebbeinu Shalom of injustice like he did, so why? So what's the purpose to know if they are the Ovos or not? What is it necessary to know here? That they are the Ovos. So therefore, we are going to say this. First of all, there is a few midrashim I want to read to you. First midrash is Midrash Rabo, right in the beginning. וידבר אלוקים אל מוישה, ויאמר אלו ואני השם, ואורו אל אברהם, אל יצחק, ואל יעקב. הדור דכסיב, the Midrash Rabo says, that is what the Pasuk says in Koheles, Perek Beis. There's a Pasuk in Koheles. Shlomo HaMelech said, Ufonisi ani lirois. I turned, said Shlomo HaMelech, to see that Chochmeh can bring to Hoylelus v'Sichlus. Wisdom can bring to idiocy. Remember once I told you here that idiocy can bring to wisdom. But here the Pasuk says the opposite. That there is a wisdom, says Shlomo HaMelech, which is Hoylelus v'Sichlus. Ufonisi ani lirois. I turned to see, said Shlomo HaMelech, Chochmo, there is a Chochmo, v'Hoylelus v'Sichlus, which is an Hoylelus v'Sichlus, which is an idiocy, which is a stupidity. Why? He explains himself. Kimaho Odom, because who is man? Shiyovo Acharei HaMelech, who comes after the king, Es Asher Kvar Osuhu, to criticize, in brackets, what he has already decided and what he has already done. In other words, that means there are certain people who are very wise, and because they are very wise, they criticize the Rebbeinu Shalom, or they argued against his words, and that made them to behave in a stupid way. Who are those two personages? Apasuk hazeh nemar al Shlomo ve'al Moshe. This pasuk refers to Shlomo, who said this pasuk himself, and to Moshe Rabbeinu. And we explain. It refers to Shlomo. when HaKadosh Baruch Hu said in the Torah, in Devarim, Kapitel Yud Zayin, about the king, Lo yarbe lo susim, v'chesed v'zohav lo yarbe lo me'oi. A king is not allowed to have too many horses for his carriage, and too much money, silver and gold. V'lo yarbe lo noshim, and should not have too many women, too many wives. V'lo yosur levovoi, and he should not let his heart go astray. Omat Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech came up, ve'erkim al gzeirose shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he became clever on the gezerah, on the decree of the Rebbeinu Shel Olam. What does it mean? And he said, why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu command the king not to have too many wives? Is it not the reason because if he has too many wives, his many wives will lead him astray from his reason? Ani arbe, I will be able to have many wives. Velibi lo yosur, and my heart will not go astray. I am clever enough. I've got chokhmah. Omu Rabbeinu. Rabbeinu said, at that time, also Yud Shebeyarbe, the letter Yud, which is the first letter of Lo Yarbe, Yarbe. The letter Yud came up in front of the Kisei HaKovod, the throne of glory, V'nishtatcho lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Yud prostrated itself in front of the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the Yud spoke, and the Yud said, Rebbeinu Shel Olam, Master of the universe, Lo kach omarto, didn't you say like this? Ein ois betelo min ha-Torah lo-olam. There will never be even a letter which will be mevatel, which will disappear from the Torah. No one will be able to take away one letter from the Torah forever. Here is Shlomo HaMelech, oimed u'mevatel oisi. He wants to take me away from the Torah. And maybe today we'll take one letter, and tomorrow another letter, until the old Torah will disappear. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to the letter Yud, better, Shlomo, and 1,000 like him shall disappear, and one little branch of your letter will not disappear. Not the Yud, it's the old Yud. It's a little kutza shel Yud, a little branch, the little tip of the Yud. There's a tip down and there's a tip up. One of those two. And how do we know that it is impossible to erase one letter, one Yud, from the Torah? Because we see when HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed the name of Sorai, he said to Avraham, Sorai ishtecho lo tikro es shemo Sorai ki soro shmo. The Yud had a complaint. He said, what? You're taking me away from the Torah. You replace me with another letter, with a hey. So HaKadosh said, don't be worried. I'll return you back to the Torah. Because it says later, Vayikro Moshe leHoshea bin Nun Yehoshua. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe called Yehoshea bin Nun Yehoshua. So he added the Yud which he took away from Soroi, he put it back in Hoshea, in Yehoshua, to make Yehoshua. So we see from here that even when there's a good reason to take away the Yud from the Torah, to change the name the Sorai into Sorah, and yet HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to replace it one way or another. In that case, in the name of Yehoshua. And Shlomo wanted to erase the Yud completely from the Torah because he said, Ani arbe. In other words, Torah says, Lo yarbe. He says, I shall, yes, have many wives. He wants to take away the Yud. Lo yarbe. He says, Ani arbe. And what does it say about Shlomo? Divre ogur ben yike sheiger divre Torah ve'ikiyom. It says in Mishle, these are the words of Ogur ben Yiko, who assembled divrei Torah, collected divrei Torah, v'yikion, and he vomited them. In other words, he forgot all what he learned. Then the Midrash says, and Takin Melochim Aleph, Capital Yud Aleph, Vayile Zikna Shloimo, when Shloimo was old, no shavitu es levovoi, his wives led him astray. Omar Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, and Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai said, Noyach lo li Shloimo, it would have been easier for Shloimo, Shie Goyrev Bivin, to be someone who clears the sewers. Those people who come in big trucks, when there is sewers blocked, they come to and block them. This is a very unpleasant and very humiliating job. It would have been easier for Shlomo HaMelech to be a Goyrev Bivin, to be a sewers cleaner all his life, and the Torah should not tell on him that the Noshav Itu Es Levovoi, that he was led astray by his wives. That's why Shlomo HaMelech, he did tshuva on that, and he said, I have turned to know and to see that there is a wisdom and a knowledge which can become idiocy and stupidity. And he was speaking about himself. This that what I thought I could change a mitzvah in the Torah because I was clever enough, I was strong enough to be able to withstand all the many wives I have married, that was from my side, it was a stupidity. Because in the end, the Torah was right and I was wrong. Right, that's one case. The second personage on whom the Shlomo HaMelech said that some people use their chokhmah, their wisdom, and they become stupid because of it, that is Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, already in the beginning of his mission, told him, you should know, Moshe, Paro will not let you go. It will be very hard. And I'm going to harden his heart. So he knew, he was warned. Moshe Rabbeinu was warned by HaKadosh Baruch Hu that Paro was going to make it hard for him to let the Jews go out of Egypt. So how is that? That when he saw that Paro refused in the first time, he accused the Rebbeinu Shalom. So the Midrash says, he did not remember. Moshe lo shomar es hadover hazeh. He did not remember what HaKadosh Baruch Hu had told him in the beginning. And therefore, he came into the Rebbeinu Shalom and he asked him questions. What do you do to these people? And on that, Shlomo HaMelech says, this accusation of Moshe to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's asking questions. Lo mo'arei oso lo mazeh. Lo mozeh shalachtoni. This wisdom, this wanting to know why. He wanted to know why. Shoiso chokhmah v'das. This wanting to know, which is chokhmah v'das, because you do not become clever if you don't search wisdom. Well, this kind of searching of wisdom, it is a stupidity. Why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu already told him beforehand. He told him already before that he was going to harden the heart of Paro. So why does he now ask questions? And because of that, Elohim, which is Midas Adin, wanted to punish Moshe Rabbeinu straight away. But Midas Orachamim, it says, Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe, Vayomer Elo v'ani Hashem. Midas Orachamim took the side of Moshe Rabbeinu and said, you have to have pity on him because he spoke only for the good of the Klal Yisrael and Hashem. So now there is this midrash. We have to understand how can we put on the same level Shlomo and Moshe. There is a big difference. Shlomo wanted to transgress a mitzvah in the Torah. He said, I am going to have as many wives as I want. This mitzvah doesn't apply to me. I am wise enough, I am strong enough that my wives will not lead me astray on the Torah. Ani arbe velo os. Moshe Rabbeinu never wanted to transgress any mitzvah of the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu he asked questions to the Rabbeinu Shalom. Lomo are oiso lo mazeh. Why do you bring such tzores to the Yidden? That's all. Lomo are oiso lo mazeh. Lomo ze shalachtoni. Why did you send me? If I am not successful in my mission, in my shlichus, why did you send me? How can we compare Shlomo HaMelech with Moshe Rabbeinu? It seems that we cannot put them together. It's not the same kind of chet. I mean, if there is a chet on the part of Moshe Rabbeinu to have accused the Rabbeinu Shalom, why do you behave in such harsh, why do you do such bad decrees on the Yidden? But yet, it's not to be compared to Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech seems to be much worse. That's one midrash. Now there is another midrash. Vaydaber Elokim el Moshe. It's written in Koheles, Kapitel Zay. Ki ha'oisek yohel el chochom. Oisek, it's written in the pasuk Oishek. Oishek means someone who oppresses, who steals money from someone else. Oishek. Lo sashok es reyacho, it says in the Torah. Do not oppress your friend. Do not steal money from him, in other words. And here in Koheles it says, Ki oishek yehoil el chochom. Oishek, the fact that people aggress you, yehoil el chochom, confuses the chochom. V'ya'abed es lev matona, and takes away his heart. And the Midrash explained on this post. Since it's written, Ki oishek, and in the Torah there is no dots, there is no vowels, you can read the shin as a sin. So now the Midrash chooses to read the pasuk as a sin, and it will make this. Ki ha'oisek, she'achochom mis'asek bidvorim harbe. When a chochom gets busy with too many things, me'arvevi moiso min ha'chochom. They disturb and they mix, they confuse his chochmah. In other words, he loses his clarity of mind. When a chochom gets too busy with things, he loses the clarity of his seichel, of his mind. V'yabedes le'matono, and he loses his heart from the matono, which is the Torah. Shinitno matono belibo shelodo. And then the Gemara brings on that a case. Oisek betzorkei tzibur, a person who is busy with the tzibur, meshakeach talmudoi, he forgets all what he learned, or part of what he learned. And there is a story. Shishim Omar Rabbi Yehosha ben Levi. Shishim aloches limadni Rabbi Yehuda ben Pedoyo. Rabbi Yehuda ben Pedoyo, who was my Rebbe, says Rabbi Yehosha ben Levi, he taught me 60 aloches about tumah, about indine tumah, indinim of impurity. And I forgot all those 60 aloches because I was oisek betzorkei tzibur. I took on myself to take care of the tzibur. And then the Midrash goes to say, and this you must understand, I mean, if you say that someone who is oisek betzorkei tzibur forgets his Torah, so how will people do mitzvahs? Oisek betzorkei tzibur, today we said in shul, v'chol ha'oiskim betzorkei tzibur be'emuno, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yeshalem sochoram, v'yislach, v'yirpo l'chol gufam, v'yislach l'chol avoinam. Oisek betzorkei tzibur, it's not the greatest mitzvah. We give them a mishabeirach every Shabbos in shul. And here we say that the person with Oisek betzorkei tzibur forgets his Torah. That needs to be understood. to be understood. But we will read on and then we'll understand that. Another case of Oisik B'Tzorkei Tzibur, who forgot his Chochmah, Ze Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Because when he took upon himself, well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu really forced him to take upon himself this Tzorkei Tzibur, to take the Klal Yisrael out of Egypt. And you know, when he came out from the first interview with Paroi, and Paroi said, instead of letting the Yidden go, he said, do not give them any straw anymore. So Doson va'Aviron came to Moshe, said, look what you have done to us. Why did you have to interfere? It wasn't so bad as it is now. And all that because of you, Doson va'Aviron accused Moshe. So Moshe Rabbeinu, it made him in a bad temper. The accusations of Doson va'Aviron, says the Medrash, made Moshe Rabbeinu to be makpid, to lose his calm and his cool with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, after this meeting with Doson va'Aviron, he came to the Rabbeinu Shel Olam and he accused him. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe, Moshe, I've written on the Torah about you that you are an Onov. V'yoish Moshe Onov me'oid mikol ha'odom asher al pnei adomo. And you lose your temper? In other words, the accusation of Moshe Rabbeinu towards Hashem, Lo mo'ari oiso lo mazeh, why do you behave in such a cruel way to the Yidden? This accusation came because Moshe Rabbeinu lost his temper. He was makpid. He lost his calm because the accusations of Doson va'Aviron rubbed off on himself, and therefore he also started to accuse the Rabbeinu Shel Olam. So we see from this Medrash that the accusation of Moshe Rabbeinu comes from him failing to be a Onov. A Onov has to be always submissive to the Gezerah of HaKadosh Baruch. And then there is a third Midrash, and I think that is the main one. And with that we can already come to the Teretz. Vaydaber dovar acher, Vaydaber Elokim el Moshe. Elokim said to Moshe, Rabbi Meir says, Moshel. He explains with a Moshel. Once there was a king who wanted to marry off his daughter. So he called to a city dweller, that means a commoner, not someone from the palace, someone who lives in the city. And he said to him, look, I want you to speak the shidduch with that boy. I want to marry off my daughter to that boy. You'll be the shadchan. So he was very honored. This commoner was very honored to become the shadchan of the king. So he started speaking to the king in a bit familiar way. He went there to speak to the boy, but he came back to the palace. He sat without being asked, and he started saying to the king, not you, but thou. So, I don't know in English. In French, there's a difference if you say vous or tu. It's a family. Instead of saying here in Yiddish, say du, and he called him with his first name. So the king reacted very strongly, and he said to him, "Now look, who are you? Who made you great? You were a commoner, pushed a mensch in the street. No one looked at you twice, even once. And now, because I've made you a shadchan for my daughter, you start being familiar with me, and telling me tu, and du, and calling me my first name." So the king said to him, "Look, listen, remember, I made you great. They can make you very small as well." Then he started to leave. What is the name Shel Rabbi Meir says? The commoner is Moshe. He was a shepherd. was leading the flock of Israel. A shepherd. Have you got a common or more common than that? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu appeared to him because he was a good shepherd. With the story of the little lamb. Chazal say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't choose a manik to lead his people unless he has been put to test. And he puts him to test with a flock, with a lamb, with a sheep. How do you take care of little animals? It's like in the laboratories, they make tests on animals before they use it on humans. Well, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does the same. With the leaders of the Klal Yisrael, he first tests them with animals. And Moshe Rabbeinu was a good shepherd, very good shepherd, wonderful shepherd. And people said, you are the only one who can be the shepherd for the Klal Yisrael. And he made him great. And he sent him to be the Moshiach, to be the savior of the whole Klal Yisrael, and to be Mekabel the Torah, which is the goal of it. And now you say to me, Loma, why? Loma Ariyosolo Mazeh. You're asking me questions, and you're accusing me, and why did you do this, and why did you do that? Oh, Moshe, be careful. I made you great, but I can make you small. And Taki, Chazal say, because of this, already it was decreed on Moshe Rabbeinu he should not go into Eretz Yisrael. It's the Midrash Rabbah, in the end of Parshat Shmos. So we see from this Midrash, there's something very interesting, that we would have said it was a lack of emunah on the part of Moshe Rabbeinu to accuse someone, for example, about the Holocaust. Someone would come to the Rabbeinu Shalom after 120 years. Rabbeinu Shalom, why did you do that? Now, what is this? Is this a lack of emunah? What is it? Is it a lack of emunah, of faith? We do not rely on the Rabbeinu Shalom. Is it because we think we are more compassionate than the Rabbeinu Shalom himself? If I would have been instead of you, Rabbeinu Shalom, I wouldn't have done it. Some people say. They speak like that. If I would have been God, I wouldn't have behaved like him. Now here, that's Gaiva. It was not as grob, it was not as big as that, but something similar to that. Very, very small. A shadow of Gaiva. Who made you great, Moshe Rabbeinu? When you were a shepherd, would you have spoken to me like that? I made you great, said Rabbi Meir. I made you great by choosing you to be the Shliach of Klal Yisrael. And what happens? Instead of staying the same low, humble Moshe Rabbeinu, I wrote on the Torah you were honored. But when is it written? You are honored. It's written later on. That if I wrote to you about you on the Torah, that you will become such honor. So you've got the potential to become. But that's not the way to become an honor of the way you speak. So we see from this medrash that the accusation of Moshe Rabbeinu comes from because he's feeling great. He's feeling great because of his mission. Now, in that feeling great, there was also a mixture of compassion for the Klal Yisrael. Means it was not just a straightforward gaiva. It was something mixed. There was a mixture of slightly gaiva and also Rahmanis for the Klal Yisrael, mainly. And because of that, the Midas Orachamim said to Moshe, "Ani Hashem, I spare you now." Really, the Midas didn't want to. Moshe Rabbeinu should disappear. There and then, because of the way how he accused the Rabbeinu Shalom. But Ani Hashem, Midas Orachamim, because you spoke for the good of Klal Yisrael, that there was something, a tinge, which left a mark, a trace, that Moshe Rabbeinu will not enter this because of it. Now let's. Have you got an oisek b'tzorchei tzibur, more than the tzorchei tzibur of Moshe Rabbeinu, to liberate the Klal Yisrael from slavery of Egypt, to lead them in the Midbar, and to bring them to the foot of Har Sinai, to receive the Torah. Have you got an oisek b'tzorchei tzibur higher than that one? And yet, if he's not careful, Moshe Rabbeinu Onov, Mikol Odom, the good shepherd, if he's not careful, he can forget himself and let himself to confuse his mind, and to lose the Torah, which is, in other words, is humility. There is a Mesilas Yesharim about Nishara Zihirus, which is the first Shar, Zihirus. 3 things hinder a person to be careful about his actions. The first is, he's too busy with his affairs, and therefore he's too busy with other things. He doesn't have time to think, what am I doing, what am I speaking, which way, what am I going to do, what am I going to speak. All this is the hero's control about himself, about his own actions. He's too busy in what he's doing. He's engrossed in all his business, in all his affairs. Not only business of Parnose. Anything you engaged into, any activity, even the activity of Moshe Rabbeinu, to be Matzil Nefoshes, to be Matzil all people, all Klal Yisrael, from Mitzrayim, from Shibun Mitzrayim. But be careful. If you are oishik b'tzorchei tzibur, do not forget yourself. Do not let yourself be led astray from your activities to become a Valgaive. Oh, I became a Sirsur. I became the Shliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what Shlomo HaMelech said. Ki oisek yehoilel chochom. Oisek b'tzorchei tzibur. It doesn't mean oisek b'tzorchei tzibur is bad. Oisek b'tzorchei tzibur is doch the most wonderful thing a person can have. But, be careful. Do not forget yourself. Why are you oisek b'tzorchei tzibur? So therefore Rashi says, Voero el Ovos. I appeared, Rashi says, it's not written Ovos here. Voero el Avrom el Yitzchak el Yaakov. Bekel Shakai. Ushmi Hashem lo nodati lohem. It's an accusation against Moshe Rabbeinu. They did not behave like you. They were all the time submissive to me. When Akedas Yitzchok, when they had to, although I told him, Ki Yitzchok Yikore Lecho Zora, he never asked any questions. Okay, so they were greater tzaddikim than I. That's all. No, Rashi says it's not that. That's not all. They were the Ovos. They also had to play the most important role in the foundation of Klal Yisrael. Therefore, you, Moshe Rabbeinu, because you have been chosen to be a Shliach Hashem, the envoyé of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to take out the people of the Jewish people from Mitzrayim, that brought you to a slight gaiva to change your behavior with the Rebbeinu Shalom, and to ask us to dare to accuse the Rebbeinu Shalom because you feel great, because you feel you are responsible, because you feel you are the Moshiach Shel Yisrael. Why didn't the Ovos behave like that? They could also have said, we are the Ovos. How is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to shecht my son? And what will become of the Klal Yisrael? To feel also responsibility. To feel also that I am responsible to found the Klal Yisrael. And yet, even though they were oisik b'tzorchei tzibur like that, such a kind of tzorchei tzibur, to be the Ovos, to found the people of Israel, to put the foundations, and yet they were not disturbed. That did not disturb their mind. They stayed as faithful to me, and as submissive to me, as humble to me, as all the time. And that's why Rashi has to bring in here that word, Voero. I appeared under the name of Kel Shakai, not to fulfill my promise yet, just to promise them the Klal Yisrael, to promise them Eretz Yisrael. Rashi adds, El Ovos. Remember, they were the Ovos. They were the Ovos, and they had they were more than the Shatrim there, the Moshel of Rabbi Meir. It was a big role to play. That was the first and most and foremost role to play since the history of the world, to become the Ovos of Klal Yisrael, and yet they did not forget their own self. So that is the Mussar we have to take from this few midrashim. We all have a role to play in our families or in the community. Sometimes we've got lower roles, sometimes higher roles to play. But even in the house, even with our children, even with the people surrounding us, we have a kind of responsibility and a kind of role as the shaliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for example, to educate our children. And the fact that we are in a situation of being the sirsur, the shaliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, could well, if we're not careful, oisik b'tzorkei tzibur, that might lead us astray from forgetting ourselves as a human being, ourselves as a person, as an honor, as a humble person. Therefore, we should realize that in order to achieve zehirus, in order to be successful, by the way, in our role, the main thing is not to forget oneself.